On this week's Xamarin Show, I have my good friend SweetKey coming on to tell us how to optimize our user interface automation tests with a page-based awesomeness. So tune in. Welcome back, everyone, to the Xamarin Show. I'm your host, James Montemagno, and today I have my best friend in the entire world, SweetKey, all the way from San Francisco.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, welcome. Welcome to beautiful, sunshiny, super warm Seattle, Washington.
It is. It's been super warm. Yeah, got all extra layers out. It's been pretty cool.
Looking good.
Yeah, thanks.
Now, you are on our MCAT team.
Yes.
Now, I don't know what that stands for, except for it has a cool name.
It does.
But I know you work often with our customers, and your specialty is on automated user interface scripts, and that's what you're here to talk about. Is that correct?
Yep, that's right. So I'm on the mobile customer advisory team.
Cool name.
So that's what MCAT stands for. And that's what we do. We basically help customers be successful using our tools, specifically Xamarin. And I am the in-house expert in our UI tests. So
Awesome. And you've been in and around the Xamarin ecosystem for a long time, correct?
not too much, maybe like 3 years-ish now.
That was a pretty good long time.
That's a long time.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I only worked at Xamarin for 5, so that's only, you know.
Oh, hey, close enough. Woohoo.
Yeah, you're good. So you're going to be talking about what when it comes to UI tests. 'Cause I think we've talked about in previous episodes on like the idea of UI testing, but what specifically do you want to talk about?
So what I'm going to show is this pattern that we like to use in our team. So it's called the page object pattern, and it basically helps you write super large UI tests which are cross-platform, and it's great to maintain and super easy to understand.
Got it. So first off, why should people even write user interface tests?
Oh,
and what are they, I guess, too?
Oh, well, okay. So UI testing or user interface testing, we have a lot of tools now in the market that lets you automate your user tests. So before, which used to have, you have manual testers open up your app on different devices, make sure flows are working, buttons are rendering correctly, your lists are scrolling, apps not crashing, just basic, just user tests. Now that we're in the cool modern age, we can automate these tests. We don't need a human being coming and doing all those tests for you. And it's still a test, and I feel developers get a little lazy writing their tests, but it's really important for things. It's like one of the most commonly seen cases that we have is login page. You have your text fields for your username and password, but then you have the keyboard hovering over the login button, and then the users are like, oh wait, where'd the login button go? Or like they don't auto dismiss that keyboard and allow someone to just, or maybe attach the enter button to be the login button, flow. So it's important, plus even just basic things like, it works on X form factors but doesn't work on the other form factors, but you claim that you support all these form factors.
I see.
Screen rotation sometimes messes up your app, and if you don't have that locked and someone turns it over, that's it, your app crashes. So user interface testing is important.
So it sounds like, if I was to summarize that it's kind of like you have unit tests to test your code, but the UI test is to ensure that the things that you are telling your users or expect your users to do actually work on all of these crazy devices.
Exactly.
So it's not just like, it runs in the simulator on your device. It's that they're reusable, testable tests.
Exactly.
Reusable, testable tests. That's
Yeah, that's a nice one. Yeah.
Cool. So what is this page-based thingy?
Okay, so like we do any mobile app development, you have your UI code and then you have the code behind. And so basically always making an app based on like, this is this page, this is the purpose of this page, then user goes to this page, that's the purpose of this page. We've kind of modeled this pattern around a similar process just to help. So a dev can also just come in and write these tests. You don't have to be an expert tester to come and understand what's going on. So we treat each page of an app as an individual object of its own. So you have your home page, you can have a details page, you can have a list page depending on what type of app. And each page has its own elements, so you can only interact with those elements. So that way you can sort of abstract out these queries that you have to interact and query for these elements. And gestures and methods that interact with the buttons are all, again, living in that one page object.
It's sort of, how you're describing it makes me feel as if it's almost like a view model is the code behind logic for the view, and then this page-based UI test are like all of the things that are going to interact with it. So like you're not testing the code because the view model is probably tested in a unit test, but this is like helper methods and a bunch of like commands almost that I can call.
Exactly.
So as I'm adding new things to my app, I just add a new page. I have to imagine that one of the main reasons for this has to be for like code reuse, right? And
basically, that's the whole idea. Plus making it easier, again, like if it's a Xamarin app, you can take it to the next level, and basically if you have automation IDs set up, you can basically repurpose those same strings and use them in your code itself to query for elements on that screen.
That's great.
That's like a next level optimization if you ever want to go there. But yes, the idea being is, since you're the developer of an app and you know what's on your page, you know what the behavior is supposed to be. If it's a swipey gesture, what's supposed to happen. So when you're writing, you wrote your page, you wrote your MVVM backend logic, you wrote unit tests for that, come back around, make sure the UI is still looking good, and write your UI tests for it.
Got it.
So all can be part of that same flow.
Awesome. Well, let's take a look. So you're here in what, VS for Mac?
Yep, exactly. Awesome, VS for Mac.
So what do we have? What am I looking at here?
So this is the app from our Connect demo.
Oh, cool.
Yep, and I noticed that someone hadn't written UI tests for it.
Oh, no.
Oh, yeah, so this
By the way, she's looking at me as if I'm the one that wrote the app and that I am the one that
Hey, usually you're the one who does these, but
Wasn't me.
No, it's David Art now, and I'll pick a bone with him later. But I will do everyone a good favor. So what I'm showing here, I'm going to put in as a PR, and it should show up, hopefully.
Oh, nice.
In the actual sample app. But yeah, so I basically just cloned the exact sample app, nothing fancy. Everybody has access to this. All I did was add in the first 4 components of a UI test project. So 1, 2, 3. Where's the other one I'm looking for?
And this is just another project with some specific packages or something?
Yeah, so I've added this as a new, so you just go the good old-fashioned add new project, pick a regular multi-platform UI test app.
Oh, yeah.
So when you first load the app, you actually don't get all of these pages. Let me close away, and what you do get, so you get, extra and extra. Get my solution back up here so everybody can see what's going on. But yes, you basically get this test page, and you get an app initializer, not an app manager.
Okay.
So so to adopt our pattern, there's 2 ways you can do it. So we have a GitHub repo with this whole structure, the first 4 base pages that you need to get started, already shared up there. Just copy paste. Make sure you just adjust your namespaces when you're copy pasting. Or we have a handy little NuGet package that's called xamarin.uitest.pop. And that'll just auto-inject these same codes for you and fix your namespaces while it does it.
Super rad. I like that.
Yeah, so that's super handy. And so basically, once you come in, the first step you want to do is you'll have an initial app initializer page. You want to delete that. And we move over to our app manager page, where we are right now. So step 1, since we are testing mobile apps, we need to tell the code where the app is. So with VS for Mac, we'd have the inbuilt integration option. So you could basically just refer it. So let me pull up my test pad again. Oops. Oh, here it is. Hello, friend. Let's get you here. So you could basically go test apps, right-click an app project. So that'll refer back to your solutions in this solution itself. Or you can do what I did over here, which is I pre-built the binaries. And I have them in this folder called binaries. I'm just like pointing it to there. Only reason I like doing this is because sometimes if it's like a really large project, you'll end up having to wait for it to rebuild your app project and then build your tests and then run it. So if you're in a hurry, like I am most days, just have your APKs ready and your IPAs built up, and you're good to go.
And then I assume here, if you run it this way, you can probably set up some CI automation to work a little bit with this too.
For sure. It's very extensible. That's the beauty of this also. Like we've put in all these like extensibility options. Like you can customize this to your complete need. You don't have to even use it as is if you don't like some section of it.
So I have this iApp and a platform.
Yeah. So all of this is basically just initializing the app variable for UI test. So that's your app that you're interacting with. So everything that we'll be doing today is going to be based off app. So app dot whatever. Platform, basically just over here we have it, it just gets the platform value and sets it as Android or iOS. And then we've made it extensible in the sense that anywhere else in the code, if you have some platform specific logic, you can just go platform dot. So if platform dot something, you have your platform over there.
Kind of like how xamarin.forms has the platform.
Exactly. So you would basically not even have to look into the rest of this code because this is just boilerplate stuff from the old app initializer. All you'd be doing is coming in and editing the top 3 lines to put in, and the rest of it you can just leave as is.
Nice.
The next thing you'd be doing is coming into the test, which is again, you get like the 1 default test for free. When you add the project, what you'll do is basically change this up. So this is where we'll introduce the 2 other files that you get for free. So as you'll notice, there's the test class, which has the tests, but it's inheriting from base test fixture. what is this base test fixture, you
I
ask?
was about to ask. So yes, what is
Is
base
it?
test fixture?
Yep. So this is what we give you as part of those 4 starter files. This is starter file number 3. So this base test fixture basically takes over everything that involves configuring the test. So things like the setup, and it'll start your app. So before each test, we have the app variable pointing to the correct app instance. So we're not recreating new ones every time you do an app dot. And then we add this cool new extensibility. So remember the platform iOS and platform Android that I mentioned? We just sort of aliased it to be on Android and on iOS.
Got it.
There is a purpose for this when we'll be setting up the pages, just to make it much more easier to read your queries. So you're like, I'm on this page, and inside the constructor of a page, you'll see if on Android, these are what the queries look like. So it just makes it easier for someone to follow. Plus, if it's someone who's had no testing knowledge or just wants to understand what is being tested, they can just read through it like English, and it'll make sense.
Very readable, which is nice.
That was the purpose of doing this. And what other cool thing you can do here is, since this is going to be inherited by every test class that you have, you can add things like, say you have some pre-test setup that you want to do, or there's like you don't want to maybe test like maybe the first 2 pages of the app, so you can basically make it just sort of put in a little helper method here that says, hey, this is pre-test methods. Just maybe click through these 2 pages and just go to page number 3, and we start testing with it.
Yeah, you can start to put like all your nice little helper methods that every single test is going to use. That makes sense to me.
Exactly. So
Yeah,
this is where this is super reusable. This is where that comes in.
Reminds me of my base view model that I create.
Yeah.
So instead of reproducing the code over and over and over and over again, you put it in a base view model, inheritance, C# is awesome, and go from there.
Are you noticing where we were inspired from?
I can see this. Yeah, I like it.
Awesome. So that's your base test fixture. So your test is going to first inherit from that. You have a little initialization for platform, and that's where you start writing tests. So the test tag is our good old NUnit test tag, stays the same. Get in your test method, and this is where the magic of UI test the page object pattern basically comes in. So what do you see when you read those 2 lines?
Yeah, so here it says, well, first we're going to add to cart. So we're going to add something to a cart.
So that's our test flow that we're going to do today. And so you can see so the first step it does is new homepage. But if you were to just read it like a regular person, don't look at the news. So like homepage, select a menu option called home appliances. Totally makes sense.
It's exactly what my user would be doing in there. Like I'm on my homepage, I see a menu option, I hit this thing.
Exactly.
I see a list page, I hit the first item. Very cool.
There you go. That's it.
And this is code that you wrote, so this didn't.
No, so this is So this is how. This is what we're gonna like. Now that's the next step. We're gonna go into the actual pages and how they're gonna come together to make this test so much easy to read and understand.
Oh, cool.
So that's it. So this is all you do in the test page. So let's hop on to the base page and get some base pages going. All right. So the base page. So like I mentioned in the beginning, page object model. So each page is independent. This is the base page that every page in your app is going to inherit from.
Okay.
And what this is doing is basically, again, getting back our on Android, on iOS, just getting all those initializations done. The cool bit over here is what we call the platform trait.
What's that?
So the trait. So just to get the main principle and to get the whole page uniqueness working, what we encourage and the way this pattern, the way it works is you need to find a unique element on that page. So the system can verify, okay, this is the page I'm expecting. I checked for the trait exists, therefore I am on this page, and now I can start interacting with this page.
So I have a login page, and maybe there's a button that says login. That's going to be my key identifier that I'm there. Okay,
exactly. Since there is also cases where you're not having your source code with you, like we have it right now, but you could write a UI test and not have the source code. All you can have is like because that's how extensible the platform is. So in cases like that, how would you know what's your page, right? So find a unique element on each page, and that's your page trait.
Okay.
So that's what we do here. Plus, setting the page trait does this awesome thing where we basically give you a free assertion. And so we assert on page. That's what we need your trait for. So and the base page will automatically throw all errors that you haven't implemented a trait if you try and make a page and not implement it.
Okay.
And what it'll do is it'll check if that trait exists. And as soon as it finds that the trait exists, it's going to actually take a free screenshot for you. So it's App Center compatible.
Oh, cool.
So if you say forget to add screenshots, which kind of people tend to do,
it'll always be there.
You'll have the one default page screenshots for free. So your App Center upload will not be for waste. And then you can, oh no, I needed more screenshots.
That's super nice because that is something I always forget. And you get like this App Center like kind of rundown. It's just a bunch of blank things. You don't see anything along the way. It's like and
Exactly.
start and stop.
Exactly. So
yeah.
we threw this little extra bit in because anyways we're verifying we're on the page, so might as well just grab a screenshot of it. So so you get that for free. And so that's all the base page basically does. And we have another one in case you ever want to use it. It's called wait for page to leave. So in case you have like an animation with something that goes away, we do assert on page for free, and we have this thrown in there if you in case want to add that other check in, like okay, now verify that I actually left this page. Useful for animations, splash screens, and things like that. So it's in there. Feel free to use it.
Cool.
Yep. And again, like with the base test fixture, again, if you have any common functionality, awesome example for that is if your app has a hamburger menu, and if every page has access to that hamburger menu, you don't want to re-implement that like menu option for every page.
Got it.
Dump it in your base page, and every page is automatically going to get access to it.
So this base page is really common actions that you want to use inside of a test that maybe are common between all of your pages, where the base text fixture was helper methods for the test frame, for the test kind of setup and tear down. This is specific. I'm on this page. Here are some common things that I want to do. Just like on a paid or content page in xamarin.forms, I have on appearing and on disappearing.
Exactly.
Same thing. Got
it.
Cool.
Same concepts. Exactly. Try and keep it as similar, easy to follow. So that's your base page. So let's hop on to some pages. So I'm going to go back to the test again. And you notice, so we have one page. We have two pages already set up. So the home page. Let me...
Yeah, I haven't
so
even
that's
seen
this.
the app out.
Yeah,
Let's
so
see.
this
Let's
is
look
the
at
app. So it's our awesome little Tailwind Traders app from the Connect demo. So this is our homepage, and this is what the homepage is going to look like. So let me pull the homepage up, see what's going on here. Homepage. So first thing, inheriting from the base page. The next thing, it's going to force you to implement this section over here, which is your platform trait.
Got it.
Right? And you'll notice you have to set up a separate trait for Android and iOS. There are instances where you might have the same query. If you have set up a xamarin.forms thing with an automation ID, it will be the same string. But we just wanted to keep the option open that we can't assume that's always going to be the case.
Yeah.
So basically you come in for each platform, you put in your trait. So I have my Android emulator up, and for Android, I'm looking for the main scroll view. That's this giant scroll view over here. So that's what I decided would be my trait. The next bit that we do here once you come in is, if you look at the constructor, this is where we have the elements that I want to interact with. That's where I'm going to set it up. So this is a two-step process. First thing, you're going to set up the variables up here. So Xamarin UI test uses these funky looking app queries. So what we've done is just to make the test and the whole code more readable, we alias it to just the word query.
Oh, that's super nice.
Yeah, and this is again for free in the example that we have up on GitHub as well.
I like that.
So you can just copy paste this. You don't even if you're doing a regular UI test, it's a cool little alias to have.
Yeah.
So that's it. So once you're in, so like I said, every element in the UI test is a query, right? So that's how we're setting up all the different elements on the screen. So I have the menu button, which is the top. Well, let me pull that up. This top button over here. And once this opens up, it's all of these menu options.
Got it.
Right? So I set very simple setup. So I have those two things. I have the variables initialized, setting up the queries over here. Now, there's two different types of queries that I have set up here. The first one is per platform. I have the menu button defined separately. That's because the queries were different.
Oh, I see. So you have this on Android and iOS because in the code, when you investigated it, they actually had different strings, it looks like, to represent how you would interact with it.
Well, it's actually just like what they named this element itself.
Okay. And that's what UI test is going to be looking for to
exactly.
interact with.
Yeah. So when it queries for element, it's trying to try and match maybe the name or the ID, or you can even use the types of elements, so like classes and buttons and things like that. So it's basically, this is what it's going to use to, I'm looking for something marked with a string OK.
Oh, okay.
It's marked with the word 3 bar. Got it. I'll open up REPL in a while, and you get to see more of this when we set up our last page. So essentially, this is what a page looks like. So, and second thing is, you notice there's menu options. Now, menu options isn't living inside any platform right now. It's just hanging out outside. So this is where the cross-platform magic actually comes in. So the query for this is basically, it just looks for a string with a word in it, because I wanted to generalize this a little bit, because I didn't want to go find each thing's ID or use a class, like a gigantic query for this. It's a regular string, and it's going to be the same between iOS and Android version of this app. So this can live on the outside, so you don't have to break it down to each platform version of. You don't have to copy paste this. And in the future, say the dev goes and actually puts in an ID or something for it, you have just come and change it in this one location.
Got it. Right now, you may pass in sync or gardening, but ideally, you're going to put in ID underscore whatever, the
Something
automation.
Something more unique. So the way, it's a little bit of an investment to set all this up, but in the long run, it's totally going to pay off.
Because it's not too much code, it doesn't look like.
It's not much. We give you a bunch of stuff for free. All you have to do is you would be doing all of this stuff anyways to write your UI tests. Right? You'd be going into your REPL, doing all the interactions, copy pasting it into your test. But only thing is then if you don't maintain it in a right way, when you have to go update these tests, you're going to feel annoyed and lazy. Because, I have to go and, find, replace every single instance of this. So we just make it much, much nicer and much easier to read.
Yeah, it's very readable testing, yeah.
Cool, so now that we have the elements, let's interact with them. So the action we're doing on the home page is selecting the menu option. So two steps in that. The first one, so I like doing wait for elements. It's kind of like a cheat assert. For me, also it's a built-in method from UI test, so it's optimized, has its own little polling timer built into it.
Oh, nice.
So it'll just basically verify that has this element appeared and ready on the screen, and then it'll interact with it. That's the tap.
So make sure it's visible, interact.
Exactly.
Make sure it's visible, interact.
Yeah. If you're doing a visual, like if your test is basically to maybe confirm that a bunch of strings and your images and stuff are like loading correctly, maybe wait for element wouldn't be the right test for that. You could go back to using asserts. So assert not null or assert is true. You could use those. But for something like this, I would always still recommend that just do a wait for. Sometimes there's an animation or there's a little lag. You never know. It's a slow end. It's like one of the low CPU devices. Give it a couple of seconds to appear.
Yeah, you can't press on home appliances until the flyout navigation has fully come out, right?
Exactly, so exactly. And a lot of tests fails because of just simple things like this. So it's a good tip to know. And so next thing it does, so once it taps on it, flyout menu opens, we're going to click on the first option, that's home appliances.
Yeah, and then you're kind of done with this one because we're writing our first test here. We are just trying to open it right now. If you'd gone back to the home page, I'd imagine you could start writing a bunch of different helper methods for all these other things,
exactly,
right? Like a search.
Exactly, yeah. So right now we're just focusing on like the simple flow of just adding something to a cart. But the most optimized and my workflow, if I'm setting up a UI test, I'll just be setting up pages. And you can also, if you have a team of other people who are working with you, just divide up the pages. You set up this page, you set up this page, and the aim being we're going to write every method to interact with everything on that page.
Got it.
And then come back together, and one single person can then just go write the tests because all the methods are ready.
Okay, cool.
Cool, yep. So we have this. Similarly, I have set up the page already for the home appliances list.
Oh, cool, nice.
It picks up this it picks up the first item basically. What we're going to do right now is actually write up the page for this last bit.
Okay, so after you tap on it.
Yeah, and we're going to write the test to add to cart.
Oh, okay.
It's super simple, just going to add in the one add to cart button, get the queries per platform, and boom, good to go.
But here I have to imagine you have to wait for this page to be here, and then you're going to have to scroll.
Yep.
And you have to hit a button.
Yes.
And then validate that it also added to cart.
Yep, so we'll see what happens because I haven't done this myself, so let's see. Okay, so
that's the best way to do it when you go on the Xamarin show. Do it live.
Yep. So let me add in my page file.
Okay.
So we are doing. Let's do appliance detail page.
Okay. And new page.
It's new page. First step, I'm going to inherit from base page, and then you'll see me do something that I usually cheat. I'm just going to copy this because I need to set up. So it's already crapping out because you don't have a base trait.
Yeah.
So let's make it happy. I'll put this in here.
Now, how do you know what those are, though?
So yeah, now I'm going to figure that out. So
I see, okay.
So I'm just doing the initial scaffolding setup, just making this happy because it'll now let me build my test, and that's when we're going to do it. So if you come back to my test, I have the first few flows already set up, and I have an app.REPL that'll pull up the read eval print loop, and we can now start interacting and querying for elements.
So kind of here's the first page, run the REPL code, so then we can start to figure out what those identifiers are on that page.
Exactly.
So what did you went down into this is your unit test
So this is the
menu.
unit test view. So when you build the test, it's going to populate all of the different tests that you have. And since ours is a cross-platform test, you'll see tests Android and tests iOS. Double-clicking on any test underneath that subgroup will launch it for that specific platform.
Oh, okay, cool.
So I'm doing it for Android because I have my handy emulator open. And
well, look at it go. It's doing stuff.
So it's already interacting.
Whenever I used to show UI tests and I would just like write something and like I was like, look at it do it, and it's like, whoa, it's just like magically doing stuff. It's bananas.
It's awesome. So, super awesome. All right.
So what's this? What am I seeing here?
So it went through, selected the first appliance on the list, and we're on the appliance detail page, and probably having a network issue because it's refusing to load the image. Interesting. doesn't matter for us. We don't care about the image. We care about the button.
Yes.
So first thing, let me get this bigger.
Cool.
All right. So first thing to do, we're going to hit tree. Look at what's going on here.
So you typed tree, and now you see stuff.
Yep. So what REPL does is when you hit tree, it'll give you like a hierarchy view of every element visible currently on the screen.
Oh, cool.
So you can see, so there's not too many IDs here, but if you just follow along a little bit, you can see there's the cart. So that I'm assuming is this little icon up here. This is the main label. We have, again, just the text from down below over here. That's turn up, and you can notice it doesn't have our add to cart button because it's not on the screen right now. So let's do some handy. So REPL basically has IntelliSense in it. So all of the methods that you can use to interact and query an element with, it's all here for you. You don't have to go remember anything ever. So with cool IntelliSense, I'm going to scroll, just scroll down. So.
Ooh.
All right, my add to cart button has appeared. So let's tree again, make sure we can see it. Okay, I see a giant text for add to cart, which is awesome, which is perfect. So let's verify this works. My favorite trick to do is app.flash, and then you give it the query. So again, with the query, once you put in your Lambda statement, IntelliSense will prompt you, what do you want to do? Do you want to search by class? Do you want to search by a button type? You want to look for the parent, sibling. There's so many different ways you can query for an element. Best practice would be try and get IDs that are unique. Trying to get through the class path and stuff is nice, but it makes your test brittle. Like if they change or they throw in another element right above, that's going to throw up your class path.
Yeah, you change from add to cart, you change it to add, for instance. It may break it. Right?
Exactly, right. So right now, since I don't have any other way of referring to it, I'm going to go with the string add to cart, but best practice would be ask your devs to put in IDs.
Got it.
So, all right, so I'm going to use marked. We have add to cart. And flash will flash that element on the screen. So I know for sure that, okay, this is the one I want to interact with. So let me copy over this query because we're going, and we know we're going to tap on it. So I'm going to come back and do that. I'm going to quickly go into the appliance detail page. And oops, I was actually going to look for the trait. I totally forgot about that. So
yes, how do we know that we're actually on this page? So we need to see that something is there.
So if we scroll back up a little bit, let's do the tree again. I have a feeling we can default to that little cart icon at the top. Although
or
it's not
scroll
my
view, right? Or the.
We could go for the scroll view too. That's actually not a bad idea. There's the shell content. We could go with the shell content scroll view. We can do that.
So basically anything that makes this unique.
Yes.
And ideally, like, again, identifiers help.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Yes, because when we see no resource entry 88, that's not super duper
Exactly.
helpful.
This is like the auto-generated IDs from Android. So again, if you can ask them to put in a name, give all the unique elements, something, just unique values, just makes it easier to write and maintain your UI tests.
Got it.
So okay, let's quickly use this as my Android trait. So I'm going to replace this value here. And what I'm going to do next is I'm going to set up the button. So I need my handy little alias. So let me dump this back here. All right, so I can alias away. So let's do read-only query. We're going to look for our button. What's called add cart button.
Got it.
Cool. So right now, I'm going to assume that they're going to have different like values on each platform.
Oh, okay, because it may be not all caps, for instance.
Exactly, yes. Gotcha. So for now, I'm going to do add.
I think it's just hovering outside your class.
Oh, yeah. Let's move you back in. There we go. Oop. All right, so add cart button, and I have my handy little.
Whoa. Oh, yeah, little nice.
My query trait, I was saying, query from before. So we have it verified on Android. We know it's going to do this. So another cool way to optimize it, I know we don't have our iOS query yet, but the action is going to be the same. So I'm going to finish off this page, initial setup, and I'm going to just put in public. No, this is going to be our add. So what do you want to call the method? Add to cart?
Yeah, sure. That sounds good.
Okay. So now there's another cool thing we do here. So if the action is going to not navigate out of your page, don't make the return type void. Make it the same page type. The advantage of doing that is when you're going to go and write your test, you can daisy chain all your method calls that way.
Oh, I see.
So it'll make your page, it'll make that test look much, much nicer. Or else you have to new up a page every time if you make these all void. So unless it's a navigation out, you can just give it the page type.
So use we call that the builder pattern, correct?
Yeah.
You're building up, and what we're doing is returning the page itself. So that way I could say dot add to cart, dot
verify
whatever.
added or something like that. That's the next thing we'd add here. So
it.
let's do add to cart. And so I'm going to do my wait for, and it's the add cart button. So like I can set this up right now, even though I don't have my page yet. Sorry, I don't have my iOS query yet, because it's going to be the same variable that's going to reference anyways. So it's cool, super optimized way to do it. And I'm going to add, okay, another thing. This was hidden below, and I had to scroll to get to it.
I was just about to ask for that, yeah.
Yeah, so wait for element would not work. So I have a feeling we can do, let's test this out. So I'm going to instead do scroll down.
So it's kind of cool because you can type a little bit here into the REPL just to validate that, hey, this is what I'm going to need to put. I'm going to need to write this code inside backend Visual Studio to make sure it actually works, and validate it before fake testing it.
Exactly,
right?
Yep. So what did I screw up? Okay, let's see. So we have told it scroll down to.
So before you scroll down randomly, now you're scrolling down to.
Yes, so because before I didn't know my query, and I didn't know how I could tell UI test what to scroll down to. So the scroll down to API, basically you just need to give it a target it's looking for.
Oh, cool.
So you can override it with a string right now. You can also give it an actual query to override it to. So.
Oh, so you could actually pass it the query in which, so you could say actually, hey, scroll down to this query because I need to then tap on that query.
Yep, exactly.
Cool.
Sweet, right? So what we're going to do here is instead of wait for, I'm going to make this my scroll down to.
Because that would fail if it couldn't scroll down to it. So it's almost very similar to wait for.
Wait for, exactly. Okay. Yeah. So I'm going to scroll down to, and then I'm going to put my wait for just to be confirm the fact
sure
that it is on the screen, and now I can tap it.
Got it.
So then I'm going to put in my tap for add cart button.
So that's nice because you're just reusing this add cart button, which is that query over and over, because I'm about to interact with this thing over and over again.
And let's throw back the page. So this method is set up and good to go. So I know for sure it's going to work on Android right now. All I need to do to complete this page setup is get the iOS trait and the iOS query for that add button.
Oh, very cool.
Cool. So I'm going to come in here, launch our test for iOS, and I haven't changed anything from before. It still has the REPL statement in here.
Oh, okay. So we're going to do the same thing that we just did on Android.
Yep.
But for iOS.
Exactly. So it's pulling up my simulator.
Now, you were doing these in emulators and simulators, but I assume you can also do them on device too?
Yes, you can.
Okay.
Yes.
Very cool. But simulator's pretty fast. It just works.
Oh yeah, I mean it's convenient too. In most cases you'll be fine, but always do a run on a device just to make sure. Use App Center. Like, oh no, what's going on here? Come on, internet. There we go.
Cool.
All right. I intervened just in time. Sweet.
Perfect.
All right. So let me zoom into the REPL again. So we basically are now hunting for just two values, for a trait and for the add to cart query.
Got it.
Right. So let's do tree again. And oops. All right, so we see so much of stuff in here.
Yeah, so much stuff. Look at all that stuff.
I know, star. We have an image. We have all sorts of content. Okay.
And you even see the add to cart button.
Yeah, so this is on an iPhone X, so it's a giant screen. So I would suggest, maybe we could use that as our trait, but just looking back on what happened on the Android smaller device, probably on a smaller iOS device, the trait check would fail. So let's look for something a little more higher up on the screen, something a little more generic. So trying to look for that scroll view here. Let me see if I can find it. Okay, that's the add to cart button.
Well, I use the UI image. Is that?
That could work actually. That could be a good one. Let's try if I can query for this. So.
It's always fun because you're like, I see it, but how would I query for it, right?
Yeah, so since we're using the UI image, things inside the square brackets are the classes. So I'm going to try a different query type this time, which we haven't used yet, is our class. So let's see if this works. Yeah, so we can have a gazillion UI images because we have a bunch of them. No problem. Let's narrow it down a little bit. So I'm going to do index 0, so the first one in this array of results, and let's flash it to see if it's the first image.
Cool.
It is cool. So I have a good enough query. I'm going to copy this for our trait. Let's go back to appliance detail page. So like I said, this is the reason we kept it extensible, because it won't always be the same on each platform.
And you might be revving your UI, and you might need to change things or finally add some automation IDs.
Exactly. So it just makes your life easier to write the tests. All right, so we have this. The next thing we need is our add to cart button.
I think you're going to get lucky here too.
Oh yeah, I think so. We are. Oh, all right. Add to cart is the same string.
Cool.
So let's remove if on Android, because it's the same on each platform.
Nice.
All right, so we have our button set. All right,
cool.
So another question that I would have considered if I was writing this for the first time. Again, if we saw two different screen sizes, you'd be wondering, hey, but this doesn't technically need to scroll down too. Scroll down to underneath, the way the API works, it's actually going to first do like a query check.
Oh, okay. So
if it doesn't see it on the screen, it'll scroll down, check again, scroll down, check again. No, so at this point, it's not going to fail trying to scroll down to. It'll just be like, oh, hey, I don't need to scroll down. It's already on the screen for me. So again, this is the UI test framework is amazing this way. So you don't have to worry about small things like this, and you can write the same test and run it on all different form factors.
Very nice.
Awesome. So looks like this stuff is ready and good to go. Let's go back into our test and add the last step.
Yeah, so you no longer need to REPL it because you already wrote it. And then
Exactly.
if you wanted to add another page or validate something else, like
Exactly.
tap on.
Yeah. So so my usual flow would be always go in and set up all these pages like we did just now. So I'll have like a REPL running constantly and like page, set up the whole page, set up all the methods, and then I'll come into the test and actually start writing the flows.
Got it.
Because I'll have all of my methods ready to interact with all the elements.
Nice.
So we have all the first two steps already done. So let's add in the next page. That's the appliance detail page. All right, and then I'm going to do add to cart.
Add to cart. So that's nice because it's not only going to then open, it'll validate that it's on the page, it'll then open it, and then boom.
Exactly.
Very cool.
So let's see if we have everything working correctly so far. So I'm going to quit out of this. Let me quickly build our UI test. Oh, nope, did not build my
And so
UI
you
test.
wrote this one UI test, and that's going to work on either iOS or Android.
And Android, because the whole page was your base text fixture setting up the platform targets, so it knows what
everything.
That's the one that's driving this little view window over here, telling it the two different platform tests. Your base page and your pages have now been collaboratively working to set up all the queries for each platform. So you have the shared queries, they share between both platforms, and if they're not the same, you have them set up already. So they all are, so it's just like literally just going to call into this method and going to look at what the variable, just like replace that variable value at runtime. So it'll be like, oh, menu button, I have it set up a different value on iOS and different value on Android, but I'm good to know because I know what else, everything else stays the same.
Got it. Cool.
So you're right. Yeah, basically you wrote one page and you have tests for two platforms. Kind of like xamarin.forms.
Yeah.
So, all right, let me get this test running. So let's quit out of the simulator. Let's run our test to see if this worked correctly.
Yeah, let's try it.
All right, so let me pull up my Android emulator. Let's run this on Android.
So all you have to do is just double tap it, and then it should launch it, basically.
Yes, it doesn't get focused back to the emulator, but it'll just relaunch your test.
Got it, okay. And it starts a new session every single time, so it's kind of like a clean session,
yes,
basically.
exactly.
Oh.
You can also control that. They're like setups in the Start app that you can, like, if you want to disable it, clearing out app data and things, you can go set it up.
Cool.
So
we'll see how everything's working. So now we're pressing the home appliances.
Okay, let me.
There's some network issues.
Yeah, let me quickly refresh that. Come on. There we go. Found our appliance. And quick cool tip, if you're wondering what's going on and if seeing nothing happening on the screen, there's this cool little window here called application outputs -unit test. So this is, you'll basically see what is getting printed out from like the UI test framework itself. So like you can watch through all the steps. So it did all of our waiting for element matching home appliances. That was the trait for the last page. And it then was tapping on coordinates. That's actually the actual element, but UI test will infer that as coordinates and tap on it. So it scrolled down and
now it tapped it.
It did. We don't have functionality yet in the app. Good feedback for the devs.
Yeah.
But they can still use this UI test to make sure that at least till this point they didn't break anything.
Very cool.
No regressions. So.
Yeah, and it's super simple code in the test, just a few lines of code, and you already have it up and running.
Yeah, and it's it's kind of easy to follow through also. Like if you just read through the words in the test, like, okay, yeah, home page, makes sense. Appliance, yeah. Appliance detail page, add to cart. Yeah, that's a gesture a person can do.
Very cool. Awesome. Well, this has been really great because I know I've been trying to write a lot of UI tests for a lot of my applications, but sometimes it seems like a lot of work to do, but kind of can simplify it this way, which is very nice.
Yeah.
So we'll put all the source code and all the links in the show notes below, and you're going to do a PR, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah. Awesome.
You'll see it all in, I will go bug David and ask him to merge it in.
And put a bunch of automation ideas.
Yes,
maybe even.
indeed.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for coming on and showing this all
awesome.
off. Yeah, awesome. Well, thanks for everyone for tuning in. Again, we'll put all of the links in the show notes, not only to all the really cool frameworks and to the code, but also to UI test documentation. So that's going to do it for this week's Xamarin Show. Until next time, I'm James Montemagno, and thanks for watching.